The vastness of space was home to many civilizations, each with its own unique strengths, technologies, and philosophies. The Galactic Concord, a coalition of the most advanced species in the universe, prided itself on its ability to assess and categorize every known race. They had conquered or assimilated countless planets, their fleets moving like unstoppable forces through the void. Then they met humanity. At first, humans were nothing more than another species to classify. They were an anomaly, an upstart civilization that had clawed its way out of its own planet's gravity while using primitive chemical rockets before advancing to fusion-powered vessels. Their ships were not as sleek as the Kalari. They lacked the organic technology of the Var. They did not have the psionic capabilities of the Eldrin. Yet there was something about human warships that disturbed the Concord's analysts. The first encounter was with the hegemony of Trinax, a species known for its meticulous data collection. Their intelligence arm had always boasted of its ability to scan any ship, no matter how well it was shielded. They believed knowledge was power, and so when they encountered the first Terran warship, the TNS Dauntless, they immediately activated their deep space scanners. What they found changed everything. The ship's exterior was standard enough, composed of advanced alloys and shielded against most known forms of attack. But when the scanners attempted to penetrate deeper, they encountered something that had never been seen before. The data coming back was wrong. The readings fluctuated wildly. The ship's core registered as a fusion reactor one moment, an antimatter drive the next. The weapon systems seemed to phase in and out of known classifications, sometimes appearing as railguns, then energy cannons, then something entirely unidentifiable. More disturbingly, certain sections of the ship were black holes of information, as if the scanner's very signals were being devoured. Then, the Trinax scanners shut down entirely. Not just the ones scanning the ship. All of them. Across the hegemony's intelligence networks, deep space sensors went offline. The Trinax researchers monitoring the scan screamed in agony as their implants overloaded. Some suffered immediate neural failure, collapsing at their stations. Others clawed at their own faces, muttering incoherently about the whispers in the code. It took weeks to restore the Trinax systems, and when they did, they issued an unprecedented order. No Trinax vessel, under any circumstances, was to attempt scanning a human warship ever again. The Concord dismissed this as an anomaly, until it happened again. And again. The Solari, a race known for their organic computers and hyper-advanced bioengineering, attempted to decipher what was happening inside a Terran dreadnought. Their scanning tendrils, living organisms themselves, shriveled and died upon contact with the ship's energy signature. The Eldrin, whose psychic abilities could normally read the thoughts of entire planets, sent their most gifted minds to probe a human battlecruiser. They came back shattered, their minds reduced to gibbering wrecks, muttering about the screaming void inside the ship. Even the Dixari, who could predict the future with near-perfect accuracy, found that whenever they attempted to foresee the outcome of a battle involving human warships, their visions turned to static. They saw nothing. Or worse, they saw themselves already dead, long before the first shot was fired. The final straw came when the Galactic Concord's ruling council attempted to force a full-scale analysis. They sent a combined fleet, equipped with the most advanced scanning arrays in existence, to surround a single human battleship, the TNS Harbinger. What happened next was never publicly disclosed. What is known is that none of those ships ever returned. No distress signals, no debris, no explanation, just gone. After that, the Concord made an official decree. No species, no matter how advanced, shall ever attempt to scan a Terran warship again. because whatever was inside those ships was not meant to be understood. The Galactic Concord tried to suppress the growing fear surrounding human warships, but the truth had already begun to spread in whispers and fragmented data logs. Across the universe, scientists, tacticians, and spies speculated about what had gone so horribly wrong for those who had attempted to scan a Terran vessel. Some theorized that humanity had developed a form of quantum encryption so advanced that it scrambled the very perception of those who attempted to decipher it. Others believed the ships were shielded by some form of exotic matter that defied known physics. But the most unsettling theory came from the Eldrin, the most powerful telepaths in the galaxy, who had barely survived their attempt to probe human vessels. They claimed that human warships were not just machines. They were aware. The idea was dismissed by the more scientifically minded members of the Concord, but those who had encountered Terran ships firsthand knew better. There was something about the way they moved, how they responded to threats, how they always seemed to be just one step ahead of their enemies. It was as if the ships themselves were watching, calculating, waiting. One race, the daring and reckless Var, decided they would uncover the truth. Unlike the more cautious species of the Concord, the Var were warriors first and scientists second. Their empire was built on conquest, and they had yet to meet an enemy they could not dominate. They gathered a fleet, one of the largest ever assembled, and launched an assault on a Terran stronghold. At the heart of their target was a single human battleship, the TNS Oblivion. By all logic, the fight should have been an easy one. The Var fleet outnumbered the lone Terran ship 100 to 1. Their weapons were among the most devastating in the galaxy. Their commanders were seasoned veterans who had conquered countless systems. But the moment they engaged, something went terribly wrong. The Oblivion didn't move like a normal warship. It weaved through space with an unnatural fluidity, as though it could see the future, dodging barrages before they were even fired. The Var's targeting systems malfunctioned, locking onto empty space, or, even worse, their own allies. Then came the communications breakdown. The fleet's admirals barked orders, but their voices came back to them twisted, distorted, as if something was speaking through them. Some heard their own voices whispering, "Run." Others heard nothing at all but the deafening silence of the void. And then, the screaming started. It didn't come from their enemies. It came from their own crews. Soldiers, pilots, tacticians, entire decks filled with warriors suddenly collapsing, clutching their heads, their eyes rolling back as they convulsed on the floor. No weapons had touched them. No visible force had struck their ships. Yet they were dying all the same, their minds unraveling from something unseen. One captain, before his ship was torn apart by an invisible force, managed to send out a single message to the Var homeworld. His final words were recorded, analyzed, and eventually buried by the Concord. It was just one sentence. "The ship is looking at me." When the battle was over, only the Oblivion remained. There was no wreckage, no debris, just silence. The mighty Var fleet had been erased, as if it had never existed. From that day forward, the Var, once the most feared conquerors in the galaxy, refused to speak of the battle. No records were kept, no survivors were found. The entire event became nothing more than a ghost story, passed in hushed voices among those who still dared to wonder what lay within the heart of a Terran warship. But one truth became undeniable. Even the bravest, the strongest, and the smartest aliens in the universe refused to scan a human warship ever again. The fear surrounding human warships grew, but it was more than just fear. It was a warning etched into the minds of those who had dared to seek answers and suffered for it. Entire civilizations had learned to avert their sensors when encountering a Terran vessel, treating them like cosmic anomalies.